This is a review of the book of Ephesians that we have been learning. The key word for each chapter, the letter that it starts with, will tell you the letter of the book that we're studying starts with. So in this case, ET is chapter 1, and we're doing the book of Ephesians, which starts with the letter E. So E has to start with the letter E. The number 1 is represented by the letter T. So thus we have a picture of ET. So ET, Ephesians chapter 1, Paul prays that the eyes, you see, instead of the heart having eyes, he has light bulbs. So I pray that the eyes of your heart would be enlightened. So the eyes of your heart be enlightened. Paul prays that the eyes of your heart be enlightened so that you can understand the hope and the inheritance that we have in Christ. So he wants our heart's eyes to be enlightened. Chapter 2 starts with an N, and 2 is represented by the letter N, envelope. So we have an envelope for chapter 2. This envelope is dead. He is connected to the transmission of the car, which helps us to remember the word transgressions. So Paul says in chapter 2 of Ephesians that we were dead, like the envelope, in our transgressions, transmission. We were dead in our transgressions and sin. But now alive. We are now alive in Christ Jesus. So we were dead in our transgressions and sins. Chapter 3, E and M. We have an Emmy. M is for chapter, is the number 3. So Emmy. Paul prays another prayer in this chapter is that with Christ, we see that because the Christ is represented by the cross, that Christ would dwell where? In our hearts. He's in the heart of the Emmy trophy. In the letter 8, helps us to remember the word faith. So he prays that Christ would dwell in our hearts by faith. Chapter 4 is the letter R. Thus, we have an ear. It has to start with E, and it has to have an R in it, so ear. In this chapter, Paul says, don't give Satan a foothold. And one of the ways you do that is by being angry and all that kind of stuff. So, chapter 4, Ephesians chapter 4, don't give Satan a foothold by your anger. Chapter 5. 5 is the letter L. Thus, we have an eel. It has to start with the letter E. So we have an eel. Oh, he's waking up. And Paul in this chapter says, wake up, O sleeper. Rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. So chapter 5, eel. Rise up, wake up, O sleeper, and Christ will shine on you. Chapter 6 is DG. That G sound represents the number 6. So we have an edge or edger, something that trims your yard and makes it look nice and neat. And he has a sword and the armor of God. So he has a sword and a shield. So in this chapter, guess what we have? We have the armor of God. Paul says, put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the schemes of the devil. So chapter 6 of Ephesians is edge or edger, and we remember the full armor of God.